Okay, I'm going to start this snow scene painting I don't think I'll draw. I think I'll just kind of wing it, except for maybe putting in a horizon line, which when I'm looking at the photo, it has a very sloped horizon line, actually. I wonder if it was taken that way. Um, it looks a little odd to me, so I think I'll make it a little more straight. So it's a little below half. I think I'll make it up a little higher. And then I'm just going to start tearing some tape and putting it on. I'm going to use this scene, but I think I'm going to make a few changes to it just to make it more interesting for me as a painter. And I didn't see any of my masking tape, so I've got this blue tape. And it was sort of an irregular kind of a edge to it, so I'm going to tear the pieces. Oh dear, it's really sticky. I guess that's good when it comes to masking. All right, let's see what we've got here. I'm not going to make them just straight. I'm going to make them, kind of at different angles. More interesting that way. Having some pruning done on my trees in my backyard, I went to check and boy, they're cutting off a lot. I hope that the trees survive. Let's see. So I need a few thinner ones in here too. Okay, now I'm burnishing it down with my thumbnail. I have a straight edge on one side, so I'm going to use a little, here's my candle. I'm going to use a little bit of candle wax to kind of soften the edge on that in a few places. I've got a spray bottle here that I might be using for softness. I have some salt in a film canister that I want to use. And I have this fine line brisket applicator. So right now, just because even though I don't see a lot of really white on some of these branches, I'm gonna put some in because I can always soften them later. I just think it might be nice to have some relief because I'm gonna paint in a background. You know, get a few other little things going here. And I want to show you how it looks when I do that. I think it's good for people to see some of the options that you do have. Okay, when you use this liquid frisket, you have to make sure you put the little metal rod inside the center of the rod. Where's my glasses? Hmm. And then keep it upright so that it won't clog. Okay, as far as colors go, I'm going to use some, let's see, burnt sienna, of course. I have phthalo blue, but I don't want to use it. Oh, maybe I should just use my regular palette because it already has paint in it. But I need more burnt sienna. I'm gonna start. Oh, wait, I have to make sure that the frisket is dry. So I'm gonna take a paper towel and blot over it because there's some blobs. That'll help it to dry faster. Okay, to start with, I'm going to do the sky. I'm wetting the sky. And I'm also wetting some of the foreground. But I'm doing that in strips of color, so. And then for the sky, I'm going to use a cobalt blue. I have my board at a little bit of a tilt so that the paint will run down. And now I'm going to put in some of the warm tones we're seeing in the snow, I'm gonna use a little bit of yellow ochre. And then because there's a little bit of an orangey tone in there too, I'm gonna add a little bit of the cad orange. Remember that it dries lighter than it looks when it's wet. And just me being me, I'm gonna add a little bit of opera. So didn't bring the sky down far enough. I want to have some trees in the distance too, so. And I have to mop up this little bead of water down at the bottom or it'll kind of flow back up. So let's see. So I'm gonna get a little bit of sort of a, kind of like a perylene green for my trees in the distance. And I have to change the slope of my paper here. Let's see, I want to put a little bit of a yellowish kind of a green in there too. Maybe some of this golden tone in the background. And I'm just gonna lift some of that while it's still damp. And because I have some lighter trees also back in here, I need to come and lift a little bit of the paint in a couple places. I want to get a little bit darker down toward the edge of the background. So I'm mixing a little bit of burnt sienna with French ultramarine blue. And I'm just going along the edge here. And now I want to do some shadows in the snow in the foreground. I'm adding a little bit of violet to my cobalt blue. I'm putting in the shadows before I'm putting in the trees, oddly enough, but I'll just figure out where I need to put trees. So some of these shadows, as it gets further back, need to be more blue than violet because the violet is warmer.
May melt the snow.
Yeah. How many of you grew up in the snow? Do you miss it?
Nope.
Nope. On Christmas Day. But that's it.
Yeah. I have a good friend who grew up in Southern California and she loves the snow, and I just, well, maybe if I hadn't grown up in it, I would love it more. I think it's beautiful to look at.
I don't think people who haven't grown up in it in extreme weather like that understand how dangerous it can be.
That's the other thing, even just being a senior living where it's icy, and my mom fell and broke her wrist because of the snow, the ice.
So I'm a Southern Californian and I took the written driver's test recently. And when I was reading the booklet, I looked at the snow stuff and said, I don't have to worry about snow or rain. There are questions on the test, snow and rain, so don't skip that part.
Oh, because what if you travel, huh?
I don't think they make it for Southern Californians, it's just, but I just went, oh, I don't need to worry about that.
That's right. They don't just give you a separate test. Okay, well, I'm not that thrilled with what I have, but it's what I have, so.
You never know when it'll start snowing in Southern California too.
Oh,
Song about that.
I don't know. I mean, we had a little snow like in the mountains here, but not. Maybe I'll be,
Yeah, but with the weather, the way it's changing,
oh yeah, true. You never know.
I'm in Southern California and there's snow on top of all the mountains this morning.
Oh,
I'm in the desert.
okay,
wow.
okay. I couldn't.
Terrific flooding in San Diego too.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the news. Amazing.
The mountains between here and San Diego are all capped with beautiful snow.
Wow. Was that you, Kathy? Are you in San Diego?
This is Kathy and I'm in Palm Desert. I went to a plein air festival last week.
Oh, okay. Okay, so here's what I've got. Now that the tape is off and I've got some definite really hard edges on the edge of the tape that I didn't tear. But you know what? I'd come back with black and make it a little more ragged. I could also soften a few things here, like where I did actually put in some handle wax in places, so I'm just gonna a few edges to kind of break that hard edge. Well, and then when I put some branches on, it'll make a difference too. Okay, so I'm gonna start adding a few other trees. And you know, one thing I've noticed about some of the trees, you know, they're, even though they're white, they have sort of a tone to them. You know, they have colors in them too. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of a little orange for the side that I think would be, the light might be hitting. So like this side. And now I'm adding just a little bit of cobalt blue. It's gonna make it more of a gray when it mixes with the orange, but I'm doing that in the core of the shadow. And I'll add a little of the violet to it on the edge. So I can see I need to get stronger. Look at how light my shadows became. All right, it looks like there are some pine trees back in there. So I'm taking some Hooker's green and burnt sienna. I'm not gonna make them too dark. While it's still wet, I want to add just a little bit of sienna in there. Drop a little bit of color back into the green. Getting dark in here. Okay. Now I feel like I need a little more color in the snow too in the foreground. Oops, maybe not quite that much. All right, I'm gonna start painting some of the tree trunks. Well, I wanted to try that thing where you put a little bit of paint on your card and scrape it. Let's see, where's my card? I didn't show you the video, but there's one that showed that a woman put this paint on her. Oops, I just got a big glob of burnt sienna on her card and just scraped it across. It was kind of a neat effect. So she put it in a few places on her card. Or maybe she had not one of these cards. It was like a cardboard thing, but let me see what happens if I do it with this. Well, it did something, huh? Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
It works pretty well. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Kind of fun to just do something kind of scary and random. It's a fast way to do it, isn't it?
The difference between a professional and us is we probably would have tried it on a scrap paper and you just went right for it.
Well, yeah, you have to be brave. You know, it would always probably turn out better on the scrap paper than on the real thing.
Brave and experienced.
I don't know. The thing is, you know, you have to keep doing it, and I've sort of gotten out of practice. But it doesn't mean I can't. That one time you know, it took me 15 years to graduate from Art Center because I didn't have enough money. But every time I went back every 5 years, I discovered that after a few weeks, it sort of came back to me. It's sort of in there somewhere and it comes out when you're,
Plus you had all that life experience to add to it.
yeah, I was a mother and, you know, I knew how to handle things I hadn't known how to handle before. Oh, you can even make these lines that go up like that. Kind of neat. Oh, I've got my trees much too random or evenly spaced. Okay, let me just try a different way. Okay, so now I've got a big splotch right here. Let me see if I can lift a little bit here. This is a scrubber brush. I'm gonna take just a very short break and feed my kitty so she won't cry. Let me stop my recording for a minute. I can't take the frisket off quite yet because I still have wet paint, but I want to start putting in a few more branches and details on these trees. And when you're thinking about the trees, you want to also think about the pattern, the way it wraps around a tree on the edge. So even though when I scraped it, it did just pretty much straight across, I want to make it look like there's a little bit of a curve to the bark. Down at the bottom of these trees, they have more dark It helps to anchor them.
Those dark points in the birch really make it stand out.
It's important, to close in, isn't it?
Yeah, it reads really well.
And then you have to start looking at the shadows in the snow too, and connecting that, the branch or the bottom of the tree with the shadow. Where do birch trees grow?
By the rivers.
In California?
I don't think so. I mean, when I was in Canada, we had a lot of birch trees.
Okay. Maybe it takes colder climates.
I think so.
I think they
Eastern
do in
Europe.
the Sierras,
No,
up in the mountains.
whoops. Ah. So mixing darks, keep in mind burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Because you can vary the color temperature by adding more burnt sienna if you want it to be warmer. And more ultramarine blue if you want it to be cooler, and it gives you a little more variety that way. Oops. Camera's sort of in my way. I'm gonna add some burnt sienna to this tree in the foreground. I don't see it in the photo, but I think it would look nice. Let's see, I've got to get this rigger, this brush that has a long skinny point is called a rigger. And I like to use it for branches because you can get some really nice skinny lines. I need to put more trees in this area, and here it looks like something happened there. See, I need more of that look of more birch trees in the distance too. And I wonder if I could take the frisket off yet. I really want to. Let's see. This is called the rubber cement pickup. This is a little piece of rubber you can get at the art supply store. And it's really makes it handy to get off the frisket. Oops, some of this is still not dry. You can usually tell if you got it off, if you rub your fingers across the surface and feel it stick. Okay, I don't dare do any more. I'm actually going to stop. I think I need to do more, like around the base of the tree. I'll just do one. But I want to see if other people have done some things. I want to have a chance to look at what you've done. So let me just add a little bit more shadow in here to the base of the trees.